My name is Alex, and I'm 52 years old. For most of my life, I've been a ghost in my own family story. Growing up in Boston, Massachusetts, I learned that being the daughter of Dr. Richard Montgomery meant living in a very long, very cold shadow. My father was, and still is, a legend at Hartwell University. He's been a professor of economics there for 35 years, department chair for 20, and his textbooks are used in colleges across the country. Students worship him. Colleagues respect him. The university named a lecture hall after him. But to me, he was just the man who was never home for dinner, who missed every school play, who forgot my birthday more times than I can count. I have one brother, Jonathan, who's 5 years older than me. He followed Dad's path perfectly. Economics degree from Hartwell, PhD from Harvard, now teaching at Yale. Dad's pride and joy, the son who did everything right. And then there's me. I went to a state college instead of an Ivy League school. I studied business administration, which Dad considered pedestrian. I started working in corporate finance right after graduation, climbing the ladder slowly and steadily while my father looked right through me at family gatherings. The invitation to the Hartwell University Graduation Gala arrived in April. It was one of those heavy, cream-colored envelopes with embossed lettering. My husband, Marcus, found it on the kitchen counter of our Brookline apartment. "Are you going to go?" he asked, sliding the invitation across the breakfast table. I stared at it while sipping my coffee. The gala was Hartwell's biggest annual event, a black tie affair where the university celebrated its graduating class, honored distinguished alumni, and announced major donations and board appointments. My father never missed it. "I don't know," I admitted. "Dad will be there. Jonathan will probably fly in from New Haven. It'll be the same as always, me standing in the corner while everyone tells Dad how brilliant he is." Marcus, who'd been married to me for 28 years, knew exactly what I meant. He'd witnessed countless family dinners where my father discussed economic theory with Jonathan for hours while barely acknowledging my presence. "Maybe this year will be different," Marcus said, though we both knew he didn't believe it. "Why would it be?" He shrugged. "You never know." But I did know. I knew exactly how it would go because it always went the same way. Still, something made me RSVP yes. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe it was hope. Maybe, at 52, I was still that little girl wanting her father to finally see her. The gala was scheduled for the first Saturday in May. Boston was beautiful that time of year. The trees along Commonwealth Avenue bursting with fresh green leaves, the public garden full of tulips, the air finally warm after the brutal New England winter. I spent more time than I'd like to admit choosing my dress. I finally settled on a navy blue gown, elegant but understated. Marcus wore his best suit, and we drove to the Hartwell campus just as the sun was beginning to set, painting the historic brick buildings in shades of gold and amber. The gala was held in the grand ballroom of the Alumni Center, a stunning space with crystal chandeliers and tall windows overlooking the campus quad. By the time we arrived, the room was already filling with people. Professors in tuxedos, alumni in evening gowns, graduating students looking nervous and excited in their formal wear. I spotted my father immediately. He stood near the bar, surrounded by a group of colleagues, holding court as always. At 78, he was still imposing, tall, silver-haired, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Well, nothing except me. Jonathan was there too, laughing at something Dad said, his hand on our father's shoulder. They looked like they were posing for a portrait, the distinguished professor and his accomplished son. "There's your family," Marcus murmured. "Yeah," I said quietly. "There they are." We made our way over. I took a deep breath, put on a smile, and tapped my father's shoulder. "Hi, Dad." He turned, and for just a moment, I saw confusion in his eyes, as if he couldn't quite place me. Then recognition dawned. "Alexandra," he said. He never called me Alex, even though everyone else did. "I didn't realize you'd be attending." "I RSVP'd," I said. "It's nice to see you." "Yes, well?" He glanced back at his colleagues, clearly eager to return to his conversation. "The university always puts on a good show for these events. Jonathan, look who's here." My brother turned, and at least he had the grace to look genuinely pleased. "Alex, great to see you." He gave me a quick hug. "How's the corporate world treating you?" "Good," I said. "Really good, actually. I was just promoted to—" "Dr. Montgomery," one of the professors interrupted. You were saying about the fiscal policy implications? And just like that, I lost them. Dad turned back to his conversation. Jonathan got pulled into the discussion, and I was standing there with Marcus, invisible again. "Come on," Marcus said gently, taking my hand. "Let's get some champagne." We spent the next hour mingling with other guests, most of whom I didn't know. I introduced myself as Richard Montgomery's daughter more times than I could count, and each time, people's faces would light up with recognition and admiration for my father. A few asked what I did for work, but their eyes glazed over when I mentioned corporate finance. It wasn't prestigious enough, not compared to academia. Dinner was served at 8. Marcus and I were seated at a table near the back of the room, far from the head table where my father sat with the university president and other VIPs. I could see him from where I sat, laughing and talking, completely in his element. Jonathan stopped by our table briefly. "Sorry about earlier," he said. "You know how Dad gets at these things." "Yeah," I said. "I know. You look great, though. That's a beautiful dress. Thanks, Jonathan." He squeezed my shoulder and moved on to work the room, the dutiful son making connections and impressing people. That's what these events were really about: networking, legacy building, maintaining the Montgomery name. I pushed my salmon around my plate, not really hungry. "Alex," Marcus said quietly, "are you okay?" "I'm fine," I lied, "just tired." But I wasn't fine. I was 52 years old, successful in my own right, and I was still desperately seeking approval from a man who couldn't see past his own reflection. After dinner, the university president, Dr. Eleanor Whitmore, took the podium. She was a sharp, elegant woman in her 60s who'd been leading Hartwell for the past decade. "Good evening, everyone," she began. "Tonight, we celebrate not just our graduating class, but the entire Hartwell community, past, present, and future." The speech that followed was full of statistics about graduation rates, employment outcomes, and fundraising successes. I half listened, my mind wandering. Then Dr. Whitmore's tone changed, becoming more serious. "Tonight, I have a very special announcement to make. As many of you know, our Board of Trustees plays a crucial role in guiding this university's future. We're expanding the board to include more voices from the business community, leaders who understand the changing landscape our graduates will enter." I sat up a little straighter. This was unusual. Board appointments were typically handled quietly, not announced at public events. "It is my great honor," Dr. Whitmore continued, "to introduce our newest board member. This individual has spent 30 years in corporate finance, rising from entry-level analyst to senior vice president of strategic development at Pemberton Financial Group, one of Boston's most respected investment firms. She's led major acquisitions, mentored countless young professionals, and brings exactly the kind of practical business expertise our board needs." My heart started pounding. No, it couldn't be. "Please join me in welcoming to the Hartwell University Board of Trustees, Ms. Alexandra Montgomery. Capítulo 2. O momento da verdade." The room erupted in applause. I sat frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. Marcus grabbed my hand, his face split in a huge grin. "Alex," he whispered urgently, "that's you. Go." I can't." "Yes, you can. Stand up." Somehow, my legs cooperated. I stood on shaky knees and began walking toward the podium. The applause continued, growing louder. People were standing now, a standing ovation, though I couldn't understand why. I was just Alex, just the invisible daughter. As I walked down the center aisle, I caught sight of my father's table. He was standing, applauding with everyone else, but his face was pale with shock. Jonathan looked equally stunned. They had no idea. Neither of them had known. Dr. Whitmore met me at the podium steps, pulling me into a warm hug. "Congratulations, Alex. Welcome to the board." "Thank you," I managed to whisper. She handed me the microphone, and suddenly I was standing in front of hundreds of people, all looking at me expectantly. The invisible daughter, finally visible. I cleared my throat. This is unexpected. I mean, I knew about the appointment, obviously, but I didn't know it would be announced tonight." Gentle laughter rippled through the crowd. "I want to thank Dr. Whitmore and the existing board members for this incredible honor. Hartwell University has always been part of my life, even though I didn't attend as a student. My father is a professor here, as many of you know. My brother is also an academic. I took a different path, business instead of academia, and for a long time, I thought that meant I had nothing to offer a place like this." I glanced at my father. He was staring at me as if seeing me for the first time. But I've learned that different perspectives are valuable. The business world and the academic world need each other. Our graduates need to understand both theory and practice, economics and ethics, research and real-world application. I'm honored to help bridge that gap. More applause. I handed the microphone back to Dr. Whitmore, my hands still shaking. "Thank you, Alex," she said warmly. "I'd also like to mention that Ms. Montgomery's appointment is historic. She's the youngest board member in Hartwell's 150-year history, and only the third alumna parent to serve, the youngest board member." The words echoed in my head. At 52, I was the youngest. That said something about the institution's need for fresh perspectives. I made my way back to my seat, but I didn't make it far. People stopped me every few steps, congratulating me, introducing themselves, asking about my vision for the university. It was overwhelming and wonderful and terrifying all at once. Marcus intercepted me halfway back to our table, wrapping me in a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you," he said into my ear. "Did you see your father's face?" "I did. Are you going to talk to him?" "I don't know if I can right now." But I didn't have a choice, because my father was making his way toward me, cutting through the crowd with purpose. Jonathan followed close behind. "Alexandra," my father said when he reached me. His voice was strange, tight, controlled, emotional in a way I'd never heard before. Congratulations." "Thank you, Dad." We stood there awkwardly. Around us, the gala continued, music playing, people laughing and talking. But in our little bubble, there was only uncomfortable silence. "I didn't know you were being considered for the board," he said finally. "I didn't tell you. I didn't tell anyone except Marcus." "Why not?" The question hung between us. "Why not?" "Because you never asked about my life. Because you made it clear my career didn't matter. Because I was tired of trying to impress someone who refused to be impressed. But I couldn't say any of that. Not here, not now. I wanted it to be official first," I said instead. "The board only voted last month." Jonathan stepped forward, giving me another hug. "This is incredible, Alex. Seriously. Senior Vice President at Pemberton? I had no idea you'd risen that high." "You never asked," I said, and there was an edge to my voice I couldn't quite hide. He had the grace to look ashamed. "You're right. I'm sorry. I've been a terrible brother." My father said nothing, but something in his expression had shifted. He was looking at me, really looking, as if trying to reconcile the daughter he'd ignored with the woman everyone else was congratulating. "I'd like to talk," he said finally. "Not here. Tomorrow, perhaps. Could you come to my office?" I almost said no. Part of me wanted to refuse, to make him feel what it was like to be dismissed. But I was 52 years old, and I was tired of carrying resentment. "Okay," I said. "Tomorrow. 2 o'clock?" 2 o'clock, he confirmed. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. I met the other board members, impressive people with impressive credentials. Dr. Whitmore pulled me aside to discuss the first board meeting, scheduled for June. Other professors introduced themselves, some who'd known me when I was young, others who'd only just learned I existed. Marcus and I finally left around midnight. The drive home was quiet at first. I stared out the window at the darkened streets of Boston, still processing everything that had happened. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked as we crossed the Charles River. "I don't know," I admitted. "Proud? Scared? Vindicated? All of the above? You deserve this, Alex. You've worked so hard for so long. Have I, though? Or have I just been trying to prove something to a man who never cared?" Marcus pulled the car over, right there on Memorial Drive, and turned to face me. "Listen to me. You didn't build your career to spite your father. You built it because you're brilliant and driven and talented. Maybe his dismissal motivated you at first, but you kept going because you loved the work. You earned this board position. Not as Richard Montgomery's daughter, but as Alex Montgomery, a leader in her own right." Tears spilled down my cheeks. "When did you get so wise? I married you, didn't I? That was pretty wise." I laughed through my tears, and he wiped them away gently before pulling back onto the road. Capítulo 3. Converses Difíciles. I barely slept that night. I kept replaying the moment my name was called, the look on my father's face, the weight of the microphone in my hand. By morning, I was exhausted but wired, running on coffee and nervous energy. Marcus made me breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast, just the way I liked it. "Are you ready for this?" he asked. "No," I said honestly, "but I'm going anyway." The Hartwell campus looked different in daylight. Students hurried between buildings, their backpacks heavy with books and laptops. Spring flowers bloomed in carefully tended beds. I'd been on this campus hundreds of times, but always as an outsider looking in. Now I was a board member. I belonged here. My father's office was in Hamilton Hall, a gorgeous brick building covered in ivy. I'd only been inside a handful of times. He'd never invited me, never showed me his space the way some fathers proudly showed their daughters their workplaces. The elevator ride to the 4th floor felt endless. When the doors finally opened, I followed the familiar path down the wood-paneled hallway to the corner office with Dr. Richard Montgomery on the nameplate. I knocked. "Come in," his voice called. The office was exactly as I remembered. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves crammed with economics texts and journals, a massive oak desk covered in papers, tall windows overlooking the quad. My father sat behind the desk, and for a moment, he looked old. Not distinguished, not imposing, just old. "Alexandra," he said, standing. "Thank you for coming." "You asked me to." "Yes, please, sit." I took one of the leather chairs across from his desk. Awkward silence filled the space between us. "I owe you an apology," he said finally. "Several apologies, actually. Decades of them. I hadn't expected that." "Dad, please, let me finish." He removed his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Last night, at the gala, when they announced your appointment, I realized I had no idea who you'd become. I knew you worked in finance, but senior vice president? Leading acquisitions? I didn't know any of it. I tried to tell you," I said quietly, "many times. You weren't interested. I know, and that's my failure, not yours." He looked directly at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Genuine remorse. "I was a terrible father to you, Alex. I prioritized Jonathan because he followed my path, and I dismissed you because you chose differently. That was wrong. It was cruel, and I'm sorry. The apology I'd wanted my entire life was finally here, and I didn't know what to do with it." "Why?" I asked. "Why did you treat me that way?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Your mother asked me the same question before she died. Mom had passed away 6 years ago, after a long battle with cancer. In her final weeks, she'd begged me to make peace with Dad, but I hadn't been ready." "What did you tell her?" I asked. "I told her I was intimidated by you." I almost laughed. "Intimidated? By me?" "You reminded me of her," he said softly. "Your mother was brilliant, much smarter than me, though I'd never admit it publicly. She gave up her own career to support mine, and I always felt guilty about that. When you were born, you had her fire, her independence, and when you chose your own path instead of following mine, it forced me to confront the fact that there were other ways to be successful, other ways to matter. I couldn't handle that. I sat back, stunned. All these years, I'd thought he looked down on me, but really, he'd been threatened by me. That's not an excuse," he continued. "There is no excuse, but it's an explanation. I'm a prideful old man who wasted years with his daughter because I couldn't see past my own insecurity. I needed you, Dad," I said, and my voice broke. "I needed you at my graduations, at my wedding, when my kids were born. I needed you to be proud of me. I know, and I'm so sorry." We sat in silence, the weight of lost years heavy in the room. "What happens now?" I asked finally. "That's up to you," he said. I hope you'll give me a chance to know you, the real you. Not the daughter I imagined or dismissed, but the woman you've become." I thought about it, really thought about it. Part of me wanted to stay angry, to make him hurt the way he'd hurt me. But I was 52 years old, and I was tired of carrying pain. "I'd like that," I said. "But it has to be different, Dad. You have to actually listen when I talk. You have to care about my life, my work, my family, not just nod and wait for your turn to speak." "I will," he promised. "I'll do better. And you need to apologize to Marcus. He's been by my side for 28 years, and you've barely said 2 words to him." "I will. And our kids, your grandchildren, they think you don't like them. I'll fix that too. All of it. I promise." I stood up to leave, and he stood too. For a moment, we just looked at each other across the desk that had always felt like a barrier. Then my father walked around it and pulled me into a hug. I couldn't remember the last time he'd hugged me. Maybe when I was a child. It felt awkward and stiff at first, but then his arms tightened, and I felt him shaking. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered. "I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished. I'm sorry it took me this long to say it. I let myself cry then, tears soaking into his tweed jacket. All the years of feeling invisible, of trying so hard to matter, it all came pouring out. Capítulo 4. Novos Começos. The first board meeting was in early June, held in the university's historic administration building. I arrived early, nervous despite all my years of corporate meetings. This was different. This mattered in a way that quarterly earnings never quite did. Dr. Whitmore greeted me warmly. "Alex, so glad you're here. I want you to meet some people." She introduced me to the other board members, CEOs, philanthropists, legal experts, and yes, a few academics. They all seemed genuinely interested in my perspective, asking about my work at Pemberton Financial, my ideas for connecting business education with liberal arts, my thoughts on preparing students for a changing economy. I was no longer just Richard Montgomery's daughter. I was Alex Montgomery, board member. The meeting itself was fascinating. We discussed everything from campus infrastructure to diversity initiatives to fundraising strategies. When the conversation turned to the business school's curriculum, Dr. Whitmore turned to me. "Alex, you've been on both sides of this. You studied business, and now you work with recent graduates. What are we missing in how we prepare students?" I took a breath and dove in. Honestly, we're great at teaching theory but weak on practical skills. Students graduate with perfect GPAs but don't know how to negotiate a salary, network effectively, or handle workplace conflict. We need more experiential learning, internships, mentorships, real-world projects. The academic board members looked skeptical, but the business representatives nodded enthusiastically. "That's exactly what I've been saying," said Thomas Chen, CEO of a major tech company. "We hire Hartwell graduates because they're smart, but we spend the first year teaching them basic professional skills they should already have. What if we created a bridge program?" I suggested, warming to the topic. "Partner business students with professionals for their senior year. Give them real projects, real deadlines, real consequences. Let them fail safely while they're still students." "I love that," Dr. Whitmore said, making notes. "Alex, would you be willing to chair a committee to develop this idea?" I'd be honored. After the meeting, several board members approached me with follow-up questions and ideas. I felt energized in a way I hadn't in years. This wasn't about profits or market share. It was about shaping futures, about giving students what I wish I'd had. My father had waited outside the meeting room. When I emerged, he stood up quickly. "How did it go?" he asked. "Really well, actually. I'm going to chair a committee on experiential learning." "That's wonderful." He hesitated. "Are you free for lunch? I'd love to hear more about it." We went to a small cafe near campus, the kind of place I'd never imagined having lunch with my father. Over sandwiches and coffee, I told him about my ideas, and for the first time in my life, he really listened. He asked questions, offered suggestions from an educator's perspective, and treated my ideas with genuine respect. "You know," he said as we finished eating, "I could help with the academic side of your committee, if you want. I know curriculum development inside and out. Dad, that would be really helpful." He smiled, a real smile, warm and proud. "We'd make a good team, the theoretical economist and the practical financier." "Yeah," I said, smiling back, "we would." Over the next few months, something remarkable happened. My father and I started meeting weekly to work on the experiential learning program. Sometimes Jonathan joined us via video call, offering insights from his teaching experience at Yale. What began as awkward meetings slowly transformed into genuine collaboration. My father started asking about my kids, really asking, not just polite questions. He came to dinner at our house, where he actually talked to Marcus about basketball and cooking, discovering they both loved the Celtics and Italian food. He started showing up to his grandchildren's events, my daughter Emma's art shows, my son David's soccer games. It wasn't perfect. Old patterns didn't disappear overnight. He still sometimes got lost in his own world, still occasionally dismissed ideas before thinking them through. But he was trying, really trying. In September, the university hosted a fundraising dinner for the new experiential learning program, now officially called the Montgomery Initiative for Professional Development. Yes, named after my father and me, together. I stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd of donors, students, faculty, and family. Marcus sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Emma and David were there, excited to see their mom in action. And right there, in the second row, sat my father and Jonathan, both watching me with expressions I'd never seen before: respect, admiration, pride. "Good evening," I began. "3 months ago, I stood at a podium in this building and accepted a position I never imagined I'd hold. Tonight, I stand here again to talk about something even more unexpected: a partnership with my father." I saw Dad's face shift, emotion crossing his features. "Dr. Richard Montgomery has spent his career teaching economic theory. I've spent mine applying business practice. For a long time, those seemed like separate worlds, but they're not. Theory without practice is hollow. Practice without theory is aimless. Together, they're powerful." I went on to describe the program: how students would be paired with business professionals, how they'd work on real projects while receiving academic credit, how we'd bridge the gap between classroom and career. "This initiative is personal for me," I concluded. "I chose a different path than my father, and for years, that created distance between us. But maybe that distance gave us unique perspectives that, when combined, can help students find their own paths, whatever those might be." The applause was thunderous. After my speech, the evening became a blur of conversations with donors, excited students asking about the program, and faculty members expressing support. But the moment that mattered most came at the end of the night, when the crowd had thinned, and it was just family remaining. My father approached me, and this time, the hug came naturally. "Thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for giving me a second chance." "Thank you for taking it," I replied. Jonathan joined the hug, pulling both of us into a group embrace. The Montgomery family, actually getting along. Who would have thought? We all laughed, and it felt good. It felt right. Marcus drove us home that night through the quiet streets of Boston. Emma and David had already gone home to their own apartments, full of excitement about getting more involved with the initiative. "You did it," Marcus said as we pulled into our driveway. "You changed everything." "I didn't do it alone," I said. "No, but you started it. By being brave enough to show up that night, by being confident enough to accept the board position, by being generous enough to forgive your father. That took courage." I thought about that as we walked into our house, this modest, comfortable home that we'd filled with love and laughter for nearly 3 decades. I thought about the girl I'd been, desperate for approval, and the woman I'd become, strong enough to stand without it. My name is Alex, and I'm 52 years old. For most of my life, I was invisible to my father. But I was never invisible. I was just looking for validation in the wrong place. I was always worthy. I was always enough. The gala where my name echoed through the ballroom wasn't when I became someone. It was just when everyone else finally noticed what had been true all along. I am Alexandra Montgomery, not Richard Montgomery's daughter, not Jonathan Montgomery's sister, but myself, a leader, a board member, a bridge builder, and finally, after 52 years, I am seen.